Yellowstone supervolcano, earthquakes and hydrothermal activity. Caldera Chronicles explaining what happened in the supervolcano this past year. Latest Caldera Chronicles out yesterday, January 6th. It's a weekly column written by scientists and collaborators of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. This week's contribution is from Mike Poland, the geophysicist in charge of U.S. Geological Survey for Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. Happy New Year, he says, and welcome to a new decade. We hope that everyone has enjoyed a wonderful start to 2020. As has become tradition, we would like to take the first Yellowstone Caldera Chronicles article of the year to review what happened in Yellowstone during the previous 12 months and what a 12 months. Steamboat Geyser turned a lot of heads in 2018 when it set a new record for eruptions in a single year with 32. And in 2019, Steamboat smashed its own record with 48 eruptions. The longest period between eruptions was a little over 17 days, while the shortest was 3 days and 3 hours. Itself a record for the shortest time between major water eruptions for Steamboat Geyser. The activity was enjoyed by thousands of park visitors and was subject of quite a bit of scientific research, which we hope will come to fruition in the coming months. We know that Steamboat Geyser is the biggest geyser in the world. It can go up to 300 feet. We also know that Yellowstone supervolcano has over 60% of the world's geysers, and it has over 10,000 hydrothermal areas. Now, unlike 2018, the article says there was little additional geyser activity of note. Back in 2018, Ear Spring, near Old Faithful, and had a rare eruption, and the giant geyser also near Old Faithful experienced a number of water eruptions, but Giant went quiet in early 2019 with no eruptions after March, and Ear Spring and nearby geysers had returned to their usual level of activity by late 2018. Such is the fickle nature of geysers. Earthquake activity for the year was overall low. There were 1,217 located earthquakes during 2019, which is well below the average of 1,500 to 2,500 earthquakes per year. About half of these earthquakes occurred as part of 11 separate earthquake swarms. This is not unusual since swarms account for roughly 50% of the total seismicity in the Yellowstone region. Deformation patterns in Yellowstone, mostly following established trends. GPS stations in Yellowstone caldera showed continued subsidence with small fluctuations that were probably related to seasonal weather patterns. Since the caldera began subsiding in 2015, both the Sour Creek Dome on the east side of the caldera near Hayden Valley and the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome on the west side of the caldera near Old Faithful have subsided by about 10 centimeters, that is 4 inches. In contrast to the caldera, the area around Norris Geyser Basin, that's where Steamboat Geyser is, had been rising since 2015, but this uplift gradually slowed to a stop in late 2018. After no up or down motion at all during the first 9 months of 2019, the Norris area began to subside in September to October, and it was sinking by about 3 centimeters, a little more than 1 inch, by the end of 2019. The year 2019 also saw the first visit to Yellowstone's newest thermal area, near Tern Lake, on the east side of the caldera. This thermal area was first seen in satellite imagery as a hotspot and was outside any known thermal region, and inspection of the older satellite and airborne images revealed that the area was healthy forest as recently as 2001, but then turned gradually, showing signs of tree die-off and chalky white soil, which is characteristic of Yellowstone thermal areas. A team of geologists visited the site during the summer of 2019, finding that boiling temperatures were present just beneath the surface in a few places, and there were vents releasing hot gases that included some hydrogen sulfide, H2S. But there was no water at the surface, no geysers or hot springs. The past year was also a great one for research, particularly into how earthquakes occur in Yellowstone. For example, multiple studies of 2017 Maple Creek earthquake swarm were published, and these studies concluded that the swarm was largely driven by the migration of water beneath the surface and was occurring in a region that was prone to seismicity due to the stresses caused by the 1959 magnitude 7.3 Hebgen Lake earthquake. So you can imagine, that's 60 years later, the aftershocks after the 7.3 Hebgen Lake earthquake. Now, 2020, Mike Pullman says, promises to be another interesting year for Yellowstone geology. So he says, stay tuned for further editions of Caldera Chronicles for all the latest about current activity and research results. And now going to the current alerts. Now let's go to the monitoring. I'll leave a link below for you for this. Monitoring the earthquakes. And we see that in the past 28 days, we've had 76 earthquakes in the park area. And basically the biggest one was, from what I see, was 2.1 at 1.9 miles depth in the lake, in Yellowstone Lake. That was December 31st of 2019. And then we had December 30th, 2.1 at 10.6 miles depth in Idaho, just outside of the park borders. And these were the latest ones, but we've had bigger ones as well. For example, a 3.4 just northwest of Yellowstone Lake was on December 15th. That's a 3.4. And then we had 2.4, for example, just northwest of Hebgen Lake. That was December 16th at 2.4 at 7.8 miles depth. And we know that the magma chamber, which is above the magma reservoir, the magma chamber is only 3 miles down from the surface. So if you're walking around these pathways and around the geysers, and the visitors are still going up there even today, these brave souls braving the harsh winter weather, 3 miles below your feet is the magma chamber. And underneath that, they have the magma reservoir, which is, from what they believe, because they're studying Yellowstone so intensively, the biggest, from what they know up to date, that they've found in the world. Of course, they have not examined all the magma chambers in the world, but Yellowstone has one of the biggest. It's known to be somehow combined to something coming and feeding it from the Baja area of Southern California. And that one arm goes into Yellowstone, the other arm goes into the West Coast high-threat volcanoes, feeding, for example, Casa Volcanic Field, Long Valley Caldera Supervolcano, the high-threat volcanoes on the West Coast, which are on the Walker Lane Fault System, which we see, of course, in very strong earthquake activity lately, especially after the Ridgecrest earthquakes. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.